Broads Media.
I'll tell you what, it never is a dull moment when it comes to these sports teams. And it's never a dull moment when you get a nice Amelio cigar touching your lips. Some old school roots, some new school attitude. Locally owned, third generation, made at the Fábrica Oveja Negra in Nicaragua. This cigar right here, let me paint you a picture. It's a weeknight. Summer nights. Temperature, feels good outside, nice and comfortable. You can go long sleeve with some shorts. You sit out on the back porch, you light one of these puppies up, and you just soak it all in. Maybe you got the Phillies on the radio next to you. Maybe you got an outdoor TV on the patio. You get to watch the squad play. With Nick or without Nick. More on that in a moment. But there is no better feeling than appreciating an Amelio cigar late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of the day, 24/7. It is so good that I can't stop thinking about my next Amelio cigar when I'm smoking an Amelio cigar. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to your local tobacco shop and say, hey, you got Amelio cigars? If they don't, you can check it out down below in the description. Make sure you check the link out. There's only one cigar to smoke, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Amelio cigar. Wow. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. The Phillies split their first two games in Miami, but that is the farthest thing from the big story. Rob Thomson shows a pulse. Rob Thomson makes a crucial decision, and he ends up benching Nick Castellanos to break his streak of being in the lineup every day. Wow. What does this mean? How does this impact the clubhouse? Who's at fault? So many questions. And I think the answer to who's at fault is very obvious. It's Nick. If this goes off the rails, you can't be mad at Topper. If Nick Castellanos, on Monday night, after getting yanked due to defensive purposes, if he said something inappropriate where Rob, Mr. I'm going down with my guys, Mr. I'm giving you a long leash, Mr. I'm allowing you to be you and show your emotion and be a personality and letting you, kind of police yourself, that type of attitude, if he deems it unacceptable, where he doesn't care and he's willing to sit in his office and publicly tell the media, yeah, there's no BS here. His ass is not in the lineup due to some things he did and he said that were disrespectful. If it was that bad, I don't blame Topper for sending a message. I blame Nick for forcing Rob to have to send a message. What's more important, Nick? Your ego? Your want-to, meaning your want to play? Or doing what's best for the team? You got guys out there like Marsh and Rojas who every day flip-flopping in and out of the lineup. You got guys in left field, Otto Kemp bouncing around, and I get it. Otto Kemp isn't Nick. Marsh isn't Nick. Rojas isn't Nick. But the point is, if you're going to play consistently and you're in the lineup every day penciled in since 2023, if your squad is looking for a win, and God forbid for an inning or two, Rob Thomson decides to put a good defender in right field to help you get a W, swallow your damn pride, man. What's more important, the team or an inning against Miami. Against the Marlins, dude. And what probably happened is Nick realized, well, it starts in Miami. What follows? Because if you're willing to do it in Miami, you'd be willing to do it at home against the New York Mets. You'd be willing to do it against Houston. And yeah, okay. So, do you want to win? Or are you just worried about your individual statistics? And it goes back to something I said previously about this team. While they definitely got into a better groove and they picked it up since the nightmare against Pittsburgh, and when they were in Toronto prior to this home series against Toronto, they look like a bunch of guys who are wearing a Phillies uniform, but not playing as a team. There's a big difference. And Nick deciding to go after Topper in this way, when the decision, by the way, it's for the better of the team. Like, there's nobody in their right mind who watches Nick play right field right now and thinks, oh, it's a terrible idea to want to put better outfield play in the back end of a game. Right? Does anybody think that? Does anybody think Rob Thomson miscalculated the idea of getting better defense in a baseball game by going to the bench and removing Nick? Baseball-wise. No. So it's not egregious. It's not dumb. It's not stupid. It's not some irrational thought. It's a managerial move to give the team a higher probability to exit that baseball game with the W in the column. You have to accept that, veteran player or not. That's cute that you want to play every day. You want to play 162. Okay, and we're willing to give you a lot of freedom and a lot of rope, knowing that you take pride in that. But that doesn't mean you just get what you want every single second of every day. You're not that good. What, does Nick Castellanos think he's Shohei Ohtani? Does he think he's Babe Ruth? He's Nick Castellanos. He's a guy that I don't even want to go back and redo the contract. He's a guy that I prefer not having for that money. He hasn't lived up to the standard that he gave us after that final year in Cincinnati. Not even close. From Rob's perspective, I love what he did. The narrative around Rob forever has been he allows the players to run the asylum. He gives these veterans way too much of an opportunity to do whatever they want. And clearly he felt it crossed the line. And I'm sure his line is, it's hard. It's hard to cross his line. I've never seen anybody do it in forever with Topper. Actually, ever. I've never seen it. So we clearly went way too extreme. What is Topper supposed to do? And the fact that people are siding with Nick to rip Topper blows my mind, because those same people hate when Topper has that look in his face of sleepy Rob. Rob Zombie. I'm not going to do anything, Topper. You're always demanding him to show urgency, to show care, to show fight. And he does it. And now all of a sudden he was wrong to do it? Nah. And they're trying to spin at that. Well, if you set the standard and the expectation that you can do X, Y, and Z, you don't then get intense the moment someone does X, Y, and Z. Trust me. This wasn't the moment. I'm wondering if there were some things that happened prior that were kept behind the closed doors. And there's a reason why this elevated the way that it did. Because again, Rob Thomson just sat down and said, yeah, guess what? He said inappropriate stuff. Did it have to be that open and honest? Now, in a way, if there's no injury, you're not going to break that streak for a day off, for a rest day. Especially knowing that Nick isn't afraid to say how he feels. So maybe if Rob did decide to try and play it publicly a certain way, to wiggle around it, if Nick ever had the chance to have a microphone in his face, he'd say, yeah, that's bullshit. I'll tell you what happened. I said something Topper didn't like, and he told me I'm not in the lineup. And then it creates more of a mess. So here's the truth. My truth. My description of it. Rob handled it right. Rob was even right to take Nick out of the game Monday. I got no issues with anything from the Rob angle. Even with the whole, he should have kept it in-house. There's always fights internally within sports. And majority of the time, you don't hear a word. You don't hear a peep. You don't hear anything. Yeah, but I believe that it's okay for the message to be sent that this is what's going on. You should be a bit uncomfortable. I think this team has been too comfortable. I need to see the feathers get ruffled. I need to see that. Because I think, as a group, this team has been able to nonchalantly just do whatever they want because it's a veteran-filled clubhouse. And they got away with some things that I don't love. And now that there's a foot being put down, and now someone like Nick, who is very well respected by the manager, gets uncomfortable, it raises eyebrows, it has others talking, it has a little bit of, boom, stop, Marsh, Trey, JT, Wheels going, whoa, how about that? It just changes the feeling. And I wonder if Rob knew that this needed to happen. Some may think Rob's screwing this up by pulling that card. I'm wondering if Rob knew he had to pull that card. You know what I'm saying? Baseball man, been around a long time, seen a lot of different clubhouses, been in New York. You get this feeling in a sense that something needs to be done. Maybe this was very calculated. Not that the whole thing was set up, but now that you were handed this card, you can play this hand that you were dealt. And let's be honest, we watch this team, and there are some that just organically ride the Phillies high in optimism train and think, well, they're X amount of games over 500 and this, that, and the third. And when you look at where they are compared to other teams in the entire league, it's not that bad. And yeah, but there's a good portion of us that have studied the team from day one where there's something off. There's something not right. It's not fully clicking. They may have wins. They were always going to have wins. They were always going to have regular season wins. They are built to have regular season wins. Are they built to win a championship? Roster-wise, Dave. Mentally-wise. Chemistry-wise. Vibe-wise. And not Garrett Stubbs overall vibes. I'm talking from the players that matter. I'm talking about the ones that should be making an impact on a day-to-day basis. Maybe Rob realized, listen, we're in desperation mode. In a way, in a sense. There's something not right. We can't just continue this path. I got to try and swerve. I got to try and maneuver here to, make it a little uncomfortable. We need a change. We want you to feel, hey, your back's up against the wall. You got to do the right things, or else there's going to be repercussions. I need that feeling. Again, I'm just spitballing, but these are the type of things that you need to wonder about and ponder about when you see such a massive statement made by Topper. And truth be told, this is very, very raw for me. This is me just sitting down without really getting a chance to fully absorb it. I'm doing overnights right now, filling in for John Johnson on WIP. I'm sleeping at weird times. I'm waking up. I'm getting hit with the news, and I'm going, all right, let's just talk through this. So maybe a lot of the stuff that I'm mentioning now doesn't have a lot of ground to stand on as the days end up going by. We get new information, but this is what I do. I'm letting you inside my brain, which is a scary, scary development. But I'm letting you inside my brain so you can almost see the way that I try and figure out meanings behind things, messages. The big question is, now that this happened, how does the clubhouse move forward with it? Is there a fracture that is just fully broken? And if that's the case, again, the blame should go to Nick, not Rob. If you're Rob and I want to put you in the shoes of the manager. And if somebody did what Topper is saying is an inappropriate comment, and I'd imagine he's willing to take a lot. I'm just saying, I don't think this is somewhere, hey, Rob, you suck. All right, you're done. I don't think this is an umpire who's behind the plate. Someone says something just a little silly and a tiny little comment, and then the blue just points at the points at the stick. Get your ass out of here! And then the hitter goes, dude, I didn't even say anything. I don't think it's one of those. Well, I think it crossed the line. So I'll put you in a hypothetical. You're the manager. A player of that stature says something to you that is gross, offensive, and very disrespectful after being together for a while, knowing what the limits are. And you make a proper baseball decision to help the probability of your team winning, and he barks in a way that is just not good and unacceptable. Do you just take it? Because it's Nick Castellanos, not Zach Wheeler, it's not Bryce. Not that that's right either. That wouldn't be right either. Because I hold those guys accountable to a standard where you set the tone as the player. Everyone follows you. If you think you could say that, then Bohm thinks he could say that. Then Stott thinks he could say that. Then Marsh thinks he could say that. Then Rojas thinks he could say that. No. So it almost makes it worse if it's Wheeler and Bryce. But clearly they've never been in that predicament. Topper's hands were tied behind his back here. Nick forced Topper to have to make this call. So if the clubhouse does shatter, it's Nick's fault. It's Nick's problem. It's Nick's issue. He's the one that ruined this. And if I bring that up, you may hear, well, isn't the manager's job to manage? Right? Manage personalities, manage situations, manage relationships, and yeah. But again, at some point in the world of life, if somebody does something illegal and then the cops put them in jail, the reason you're in jail isn't because the cop is putting the handcuffs on you and bringing you down to the station. The reason you're in jail is because you did something stupid and illegal. Nick did something stupid. Nick did something that was illegal. In a way, follow me. And Rob is just the middleman that has to be the bad guy. But you can't let that slide. You can't let that go. Especially because if you think to win a championship, and it's pretty clear to me that Rob feels this way, you may have to pull Nick from games late. Then this might be a trend. And Nick better settle in and buckle up. I think that's where Rob, now, this is where I'm kind of getting at here. As we're talking through it, is Rob assumes, I'm going to have to do this again. Nick, this isn't the only time. This is me testing the waters. This is me getting a feel. This is me working through the process of figuring out if this is something that I'm going to consistently go back to in late games, in the playoffs. I mean, we've done this all the time. Defensive replacements are real. If we want to get a win, we're going to put the best guys out there. Now, you see what happens out in right field sometimes. And, ball hits you in the glove. I've seen plenty of examples of Kepler, even Marsh in center field, or Rojas in center field, where it's rough. So it's no promises, but yes, from an analytical standpoint, you can hope and pray that some of these other options that you have on your bench that you can plug out in right field for an inning or two late could be better than it. And I don't think Nick big body of work has been awful, but I do know that, there are better options that you have available to you. And wouldn't it be silly if you don't utilize that? So, Nick, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? It almost takes away, not almost, it does. It takes away from anything actual baseball-wise. But I do have a couple things I want to hit on from the first two games in Miami. Oh, by the way, they split the games. And I said 3-1 mandatory. 2-2 would be a joke. 2-2 would be a mess. 2-2 would piss me off. I need to see 3-1 at worst. I wanted to see a sweep. That's not too much to ask for the Miami team. But we'll get into that in a second. First, my friends over at Green Lawn Fertilizing are the best. I'm in love with my lawn. I think about it every day. It consumes my life. And it wasn't always that way because my lawn was a piece of crap and it needed to recover because I wasn't paying attention to my lawn. Don't make the mistake that I made. What you need to do is talk to the experts at Green Lawn Fertilizing. They are the best in the Philadelphia area, experts in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. They've created their own custom blend that helps your lawn recover. And let me tell you something. They are so knowledgeable. They really educate you on everything that they're doing. I'm going through a couple of different treatments with my grass. We went through our first 3 treatments. And at one point, I wondered why there were some brown spots. So I asked them, hey, is it supposed to look this way? They said, Broads, absolutely 1,000%. It takes a little bit of time for this to recover, but what we're doing is we're killing the weeds that were there, and now we are going to work on growing some new grass. So that's why it looks the way that it does. It's supposed to be that way. And this is why. And you're able to sit down and they talk to you. They teach you. They let you know exactly what is going to happen detail by detail by detail with this experience. And it's really enjoyable to watch it grow. When my family comes over and they notice it, because they don't come over every single day, but when they do, they go, wow, front lawn, wow, look at how everything changed in the backyard. I go, I know, it's life-changing to the house. It really does bring the house a new spark, a new flair, some new fire. It gives it a whole new personality, and I'm obsessed with it. And right now, Green Lawn Fertilizing is giving you 50% off your first 2 treatments. That's right, 50% off your first 2 treatments if you click the link down below in the description, which will send you to their website, and it'll tell them that Broad sent you. It's a no-brainer. Make sure you get started today. All right, so a few things. I guess we'll go with Game 2 and then work backwards because Game 2 was tonight. Luzardo, not good. See, I wasn't in the thought of he was just tipping pitches and that's why he was getting beat up. I didn't think he executed very well. I didn't think he pitched very well. I thought he caught a lot of the plate, and then pitch sequence was more of an issue than pitch tipping. So it was inefficient. It wasn't effective. He wasn't sharp, and his pitch sequence maybe was up in the air. And everyone goes, well, Pitching Ninja has a breakdown. And I go, no. And now I'm watching him pitch in Miami. 5 innings, 103 pitches in 5 innings. 4 walked batters and allowed 4 earned runs. Yikes. What he did his last start was promising. But to revert back this ugly against a team that's not very good, I don't want to hear it for a second. They put together strong at-bats. They're a tough lineup. No, they're not. No, they're not at all. They stink. They're at the bottom of the league. They're bad, awful, terrible, trash. So it's not good to watch Luzardo, 3 out of his last 4 starts, be roughed up and not good and putting guys on base for free and giving the Marlins an opportunity to cash in because of it. And your bullpen, you know what it is. I told you, Tanner Banks, no. Joe Ross, no. And it's not good as a team that you lose the game following the Nick thing. because then it opens up the door for speculation. For, all right, where are we here? And they could shut it down rather quickly if they just win their next 2 games against Miami, then make a statement against the Mets, but that's not easy to do. If it was easy to do, they wouldn't have got pantsed and bent over in Citi Field when they saw the Mets previously. So it's obviously a very difficult task. You need to stop the noise from getting louder and stop the bleeding by winning the game on the night that something so controversial happened, even though it's not really that controversial. I think it was played the way it needed to be played. I think what was controversial, and again, not controversial, it's obvious. It was wrong. Nick was wrong. If Rob feels that he needs to make this decision, he never makes this decision. And I don't think he just did it immaturely and knee-jerk reaction. I think it was probably very bad, or else he wouldn't have made this call. So there's really no controversy. But when it happens, and because it's a big story, you got to win that game so it doesn't get out of control and then crazy speculation happens. That didn't occur, so now crazy speculation happens. So that was a big start for Luzardo individually to build off of how he bounced back from those rough 2 starts. But at the same point, it's also big from a team level. And the team wasn't there. You know, you had Trey with the homer. Trey's been doing all right. Trey's off the radar right now for me compared to all the other craziness, which is a big statement for Trey. But yeah, the pitching didn't hold up in this one. In game 1, Trey set the tone with an early homer. Boom, in the 9th inning, giving you separation for Orion Kerkering. It's funny, I had a show yesterday for overnights, and following game 1, I asked the question if there was somebody that you didn't really have high expectations for that you're starting, even if it's a smidge, to buy stock into. And the way Kerkering pitched in the 9th inning, and, you know, Rob's going 7th, Romano, 8th, Strom, Kerkering 9th, and the Strom thing, it just doesn't have that same pop. It doesn't have that same zip. It doesn't have that same intensity with his pitches. He's a monster question mark every time he takes the mound. But I was saying, yeah, with Kerkering, yes. With Bohm, I don't know yet, because that was a big at-bat by Bohm, and there's no doubt he's starting to produce a lot more than he did in the beginning stages. But at the same point, I never thought he was as bad as he was in the beginning stages. I'm not the biggest Bohm fan in the world. I'm not the biggest supporter ever, but I knew he wasn't as dysfunctional as what he showed and what was on display in the beginning part of the year. So now he's starting to come out of that. Are you buying any stock in that? I don't know. I need him to be 90-plus RBI Bohm. I need him to be as good as he was smoking doubles and protecting Bryce Harper type of Bohm. And if he's batting 7th in the lineup, does he have the opportunity to do that? Does he have the same opportunities to make an impact as he did? He could be hitting just as well, but in a different spot in the lineup, so then it feels differently. And I guess that's fair. But I answered it by saying I'm buying stock into Kerkering, which, you know, if you've been listening, you know, NLDS, NLCS, final game, 1-run game, Dodgers, middle of the order. You need a big, big outing in a big, big 9th inning. Orion Kerkering? Please, no way. That was always how I responded. And part of me still feels that way, but a smidge, I'm feeling better about him. That's who I would buy stock into. Trey wasn't an option for me. There's too much scar tissue, so I put him off to the side. And that's sort of how I answered that question. But, you know, I was feeling intrigued after game 1. Now I'm emotionally unstable. And I do want to say, as a Mick Abelsman, I am very proud of Nick Abel because he got boned early on when the score was 1-0 with a pitch that 3/4 of the ball caught the bottom half of the plate strike zone. When they showed the replay, it was crazy how much of the ball caught the strike zone. Bad call by the Blue. The inning lives on. And then what? Marlins get to take advantage. But to Mick Abel's credit, he limits the damage. So that could have went off the rails. That could have been really rough. It reminds me of that at-bat against Kyle Tucker in the Cubs, where it's a one-run game, it's 2 outs, you're facing a lethal lineup, it's bases loaded. He had some nasty off-speed pitches to get him confused. Watched the 3-1 pitch drop in the bottom half of the zone, then had a half-weird check swing. Am I going, am I not going? Strikeout call against Kyle Tucker, and it could have been worse. Could have been a grand slam, could have been a bases-clearing double. Well, this was a big spot for him. After getting screwed and boned by the ump, how do you manage your emotions? Well, the game was tied. Could have been a lot worse. It was tied. 1-1. It wasn't 4-1 Miami. It wasn't 3-1 Miami. You were able to limit the damage after getting screwed in a ballpark that's got no emotion. That's got no people. It's so awkward, so eerie. You can hear somebody screaming to release Nick Castellanos, or not release, but free Nick. You can hear it in the broadcast. You can hear Bohm screaming from the dugout after Trey hits a home run. There goes the perfect game. I mean, you can hear it as clear as day. So for a young pitcher to have to deal with the eeriness of the ballpark, I think is something that he had to battle through as well. I liked what I saw out of Mick Abel, and he could have went deeper too if they allowed him to. It wasn't like his pitch count was anything gross through his innings pitched. But all right, let's run to the Anytime Hotline, shall we?
This shit hurts me to the core, bros. But I hate being right. I told everybody this is a max 85 win team. The game hasn't even begun tonight. That's not why I'm saying it. I have been preaching to everyone that I can talk to, that the team is not conducive to winning because all of these guys have a different goal and they don't play as a team. Even in 2022, you spoke on it, they went on a magic ride. They really have not been, there's not been cohesion. And at this point, either it's a fireable offense for Topper, or it's a tradable offense for Nick. One of them have to go. After this, once you step up and challenge the coach, he will lose the whole entire locker room. Either Nick's got to go or Topper's got to go. But expect one of those moves by the trade deadline. It's going to happen.
I disagree. I don't think either have to go. Now, I'm not the highest on this team as it is, but there is a way where somebody gets challenged and the team moves on from it. I mean, we thought after Brandon Graham went on WIP and said that there's so much turmoil between Jalen and AJ. I mean, there's so much dysfunction here, and they rallied together as one. Now, their relationship isn't the same as Topper and Nick, but there's plenty of examples of when people get challenged in sports and it puts them in very uncomfortable positions, but you can rise to the occasion from it. Look, if you can get out of Nick's contract, sign me up. I lean towards being a Topper. I don't think the reason why this team isn't winning a championship is because of Topper. I've actually been through this before with the anti-Rob people. You can win a World Series with Topper. You could win a World Series with Rob Thomson as your manager. I don't think you can win a World Series with this roster construction currently. But I don't think Nick goes. They're looking at this as they have a chance to pursue. Not strip down, it's move forward. Even someone asked me the other day if I think they can move Bohm at the deadline. Obviously, they tried to move him, but I don't think they're going for the extreme here at the deadline. I think they're going after a Chapman. I think they're going after a Batista. I think they're going after names like that for your bullpen, and they're trying to really gain assets to beef up that pen, especially knowing that if Nola does return and it's Wheels, it's Nola. Luzardo is a question mark right now, but it's Ranger. I'll put Luzardo in there. Sanchez, Painter, Abel. Those are 3 arms in the pen. Chapman, and maybe one other arm could be an addition. That's 5 new arms in the pen. I think they're going to pursue this as is and then make decisions afterwards. Probably let Kyle walk. JT, I don't know. Maybe try and open up the discussions again for Bohm in the offseason. Maybe with Nick's contract and where it currently stands after this year's over, you can see if a team wants to bite. But I don't think this is prior to deadline stuff. I think they look at this as we're going for it. We're pursuing it. One last crack at it. And then we'll figure out what we do based off of how it ends. Because if they fail, and then they sign Kyle to a deal, and then they bring JT back on a team-friendly deal to be a defensive catcher, and now you're running it back again with the same team, just older. And if they lose in the NLDS or maybe they lose in the wild card round, then they're not getting anywhere, and they're going to quadruple down on this core, getting older. You can't do that. So that's another topic for another day. But in regards to someone's got to go because of this, well, here's an option. Fucking nut up, Nick, nut up and realize that there's a bigger goal here in mind with the team. See, the challenge thing. Nick did challenge Topper. Topper challenged Nick back, though, and said, I see you and I raise you. And there is a way to respond to that in a way that can benefit you. When you get challenged, that can make the best of the parties involved. And again, it's more Nick than Topper. I don't think Topper did anything wrong. I really don't. I don't think he did anything wrong. He played the hand he was dealt because he had to. It's a Nick issue more than anything else. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. We'll be talking very soon. Split with Miami. Let's see how this series ends. You guys are split with Miami the first 2 games. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.